What is going on, guys? We're doing baseball banter early this week because there is really nothing going on in baseball because I don't think no teams resume till Friday. There's actually, I remember, a rule baseball made, Bud Selig made, because teams actually used to start the day after the AllStar Game. Some teams would get a couple 2-day break, some teams get a 3-day break. So now it's all universal. Every team gets 3-day break, and every team starts on Friday. But there's actually quite a bit to talk about, and since we were late on it last week, we're going to do it. And as always, I'm joined by my brother from another mother, kid with the golden locks, and he's got a nice shirt on today, too, Mike Hewitt.
What's going on, guys? You actually found Waldo today. And John, I wasn't here last week. You were solo, so I'm back after a long break.
That's right. Good call. You were slacking. What were you doing
was.
last week? Why you couldn't be on here?
I think I wanted to do it later, and then when I asked you to do it, we had already done it. So it was just bad timing.
By the way, I like that picture of Fenway. It's really nice.
Yes, it
So,
is.
speaking of Fenway Park, and even though this has nothing to do with Fenway Park, the All-Star Game. How much of a great segue was that? The All-Star Game was last night. Wrapped up the whole All-Star festivities and whatnot. Did you watch any of the pre-All-Star Game stuff, like the Futures Game or the Home Run Derby, any of that crap?
I watched the Home Run Derby, but I missed most of the pregame on yesterday, and I'm very happy to miss most of it. But the Home Run Derby was all right. I tend to think it sucks, but it was not too bad considering Giancarlo Stanton almost left the building.
Dude, almost left the park. He missed it by 4 rows. He destroyed that ball. It was projected to go 510 feet if that stand wasn't there. So he crushed him. I mean, he's a monster, dude. He's got guns. That dude is a stud. He has huge arms. I wish I looked like him because I would be a beast. So, overall thoughts of the All-Star Game. Did you enjoy it better than years past? Did you think it was good? Comments, complaints? What were your thoughts on the All-Star Game this year?
You know, I'll be honest. The last few years, the game really hasn't been that good. I mean, yesterday's game wasn't really decided in the first few innings because the National League came back in the second to put 2 on the board. I think it was 3-2, and that was the closest it ever got. But I'll be honest, in the last few years, from what I remember, the games have been really uncompetitive, or they really haven't. It hasn't been where you're on the edge of your seat, and maybe because to me, I don't really care. It's just a game. I know it determines the World Series, which I think is bizarre, but I don't know. It was okay. It was another baseball game. That's how I felt.
I thought this one was the best All-Star Game since the one at St. Louis, which I think it was in 2011 when not Curtis Granderson, but I forget who it was that made a game-saving catch to help the AL win.
That was Carl Crawford who made that catch, and it was in 2009, I think.
2000. It was in St. Louis? Yeah.
Yes.
That was a great. No, it was. Are you sure it wasn't Curtis Granderson? I'm telling you, it was Curtis Granderson or Carl Crawford that made that.
I think it was Crawford because I remember Papelbon was pitching. I'm almost positive, unless we're thinking of different catches. I know Papelbon's ass got saved in one of those games.
He was jumping up into the bull. It was Curtis Granderson. He was jumping up into the bullpen wall to save a home run. And it was the last year he was on the Tigers. So, yeah, you're right. It was 2009. And that was probably my last really good All-Star game that I truly enjoyed, because when the year Verlander started it, it was over in the first inning. They got destroyed. Last year's I really don't remember a lot of, so that goes to tell you how good that All-Star game was. But this year, it was a really competitive game. Miggy went deep in the first inning. Trout was really awesome. And then the Derek Jeter stuff, which we're going to touch on, too, by the way, in this episode. I got a lot to say about that. My only complaint is I missed the days, because I'm a big vintage baseball guy. I missed the days when the All-Star game was you announced the players, they took their bows and tipped their caps, but then they played the game. Why do I need some girl who can't sing for shit, who looks like a dying walrus when she's opening her mouth, singing Forever Young, and then singing the national anthem? The players were standing out on the field waiting to play for like 20 minutes. It was a brutal wait time. We don't need a million pregame stuff.
And while you're at that, while you do say that, they honored the teachers, because I think the singer sung 2 songs, and they were honoring teachers at first, which that's cool. You want to honor teachers, the good teachers, that's great. But where was the Tony Gwynn honoring?
Yeah.
Where was the honoring of Don Zimmer? You're 2 baseball legends, but I guess not good enough. Let's just talk about Derek Jeter 100 times. Let's say his name. I think Deadspin.com did this. They played the amount of times that they named the word Jeter, and it was like over 50 for sure. It was ridiculous.
We're gonna save that though. Save that because we got. Oh man, it's gonna be a good one when we talk about Derek Jeter. But yeah, there was a good first inning, and then Adam Wainwright actually got in a little bit of trouble saying he grooved Derek Jeter a couple of fastballs to hit because he owed it to him. Because this is what pisses me off, man. He says he grooved him a couple pitches to hit. You know, he said he would have done it again if he thought he hit him a double. But you know something? This is how baseball is. This is how the inside, the players do. That's how baseball players pay respects to one another. Great story. Denny McLain in 1968, 31-6, ERA sub 2. You know what he does? Tigers are up in a game against the Yankees. Last game ever, Mickey Mantle's at Tiger Stadium. You know what McLain does? He yells out to Jim Price. Jim Price comes up here and says, hey, we're going to groove Mantle a couple fastballs so he can hit one in his last at bat. This is a guy that's 31-6, going for his 31st win in a game where he's up big. And what does he do? He still grooves him a fastball. He doesn't care about the stats because he's paying respect to a legend like Mickey Mantle. So Adam Wainwright does the same thing. He grooves Jeter a couple pitches to hit, and everyone cries blasphemy. It's bullshit. Who cares? That's how you pay respect to someone. That is how baseball players do it. That is how people treat good Hall of Fame baseball players. It really is. So, people get off your high horse and stop making a big deal out of everything. That's one thing that pisses me off about baseball. Stuff that's gone on for years, like guys pitching inside, just gets blown up because you get these internet guys now that, have no respect for how stuff really worked. And I'm not trying to be one of those old school guys and whatnot, but Jesus Christ, man. Who cares if he grooved Derek Jeter 2 fastballs in a fucking All-Star game? It's not Game 7 of the World Series, and he's facing the Yankees, because, the Yankees aren't going to be in the playoffs. Cut it out. So, anyways, but it was a great first inning, and, Max Scherzer actually got the win in this game. Miggy went deep. A lot of great pitching this game. It was a really enjoyable All-Star game. My boy Mickey Trout won the MVP, which I believed he deserved. Had a couple extra base hits. Should have had a home run. Chase Utley hit a ball that was absolutely crushed, but Target Field robbed it. So it was a great All-Star game. I truly enjoyed it. I thought it was great. It was awesome, and Glenn Perkins got to close it out, the hometown guy on the mound in the ninth. So it worked out perfectly. I thought Farrell did a good job managing it, the AL side of it. Mike Matheny did a good job on the NL side of it, and people need to stop crying that Wainwright was a starter over Clayton Kershaw. Yeah, that's his guy. So, that's all I gotta say. It was a good All-Star game. I don't know if you enjoyed it as much as I did, Mike, but I thought it was good.
Well, also keep in mind, John, I know nobody else knows this, but I lost power last night. I live in the Northeast. We had a big rainstorm, big thunderstorm, and I actually missed 5 innings because we didn't have any power. So from I think the 4th inning till about the 8th inning, I was out of luck watching the game. So is that 5 innings or 4 innings? My math sucks.
Yeah. So we're going to move on to the topic I'm dying to get to. Mike, do you want to start off about Derek Jeter? Do you think...
Who's that guy?
Do you think they're overdoing this Derek Jeter send-off thing?
Dude, I made a video on my channel. I don't want to promote myself, but I'm going to. Go watch the video right now, or after this video. I made a video about Derek Jeter's farewell tour and why I thought it was a joke, and it was not because it was Derek Jeter. Well, in part it was, but it was the farewell tour in general. It sucks. And yes, Derek Jeter's a great ball player. He was the face of baseball for many years. Now Mike Trout's going to take that new role. But let's be honest here. How much ass kissing does this guy need? And it's not his fault. This is not Derek. Well, announcing your retirement was, but everything else that this guy gets, all the media attention and all the loving that he gets from all these media members and baseball writers, it's not Jeter's fault, but it makes me sick to my stomach. And I think it also hurts the fact that he is a Yankee. But I think if it was anybody, I didn't like the Tim Tebow parade that was on ESPN. So it's not just a Yankees thing. It's just this love affair. Or LeBron James. I hate the LeBron James saga. So enough praising these players. And Derek Jeter is not Ted Williams. He's not. He's a very good player. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but calm down. Sorry.
Derek Jeter's farewell to it, man. So let's this rant begin now. Derek Jeter, don't anyone get me wrong. I like Derek Jeter. He's a great player. He's the captain. All the World Series he's won with the Yankees. What, 5? Over 3,400 hits. He's like top 10 all time, top 7. Great player. But there is no fucking reason that the whole entire All-Star game should be about Derek Jeter. I am sorry. I'm sorry. In 2001, Cal Ripken and Tony Gwynn both retired in the same season, and they were in the All-Star game together. You know how that win at Safeco? They made a couple of mentions of it. Yeah, sure. It's their final All-Star game. They tipped their caps at the, when they had their names called, and that was it. Yeah, there was a couple mentions about it, and, A-Rod did the thing where he pushed Ripken to short, for a couple of plays. And then that was it. That was their send-off. Not every 5.5 fucking seconds. Not commercials about Derek Jeter, people tipping their hats to him. Not the announcers every 10 seconds talking about Derek Jeter. No, none of that shit. And I'm sorry, Yankee fans. Bash me all you want. Derek Jeter is not even close to as good as Cal Ripken. Derek Jeter is not even close to as good as Tony Gwynn. I'm sorry. He's not. I don't care that he has 5 World Series rings. I know what kind of player he is. I know what he brought to the table, and I know his accomplishments. But you can't compare him to Derek or to fucking Cal Ripken or Tony Gwynn. You can't. And for them to sit there and put this guy on a pedestal and every 5 seconds and showing that fucking respect commercial where they're all tipping their hats to him and nothing, nothing but Derek Jeter. Like last year, Mariano Rivera, they had fucking TV shows, book deals, all this shit, like farewell tours. Why the fuck does it always have to be about that? The whole game was so overshadowed and nothing just talk about just Derek Jeter. It was bullshit. It completely ruined the All-Star game. It really did. I mean, I liked it, but it completely did. He comes up his first at bat, and they cut all the mic because it's like a fucking moment of silence for 9/11. It's Derek Jeter at the bat, not the guy that fucking cured cancer. I'm sorry. He doesn't, it's playing a baseball game. You don't need to have fucking a moment of goddamn silence so you can hear the whole crowd and whatnot. And then he comes out the inning in the fourth for Alexi Ramirez, and then they make a big deal out of that and watch him tip his cap for 9 fucking minutes. He got his ovation when he was called out, and for fucking the All-Star, or when he got his name called and everything else. How much more do you need to do? We get it. He's a great player. He's the Yankees captain. He's got 5 World Series rings. He's got a plethora of Gold Gloves. We get it. He's a good player. But when someone like Tony Gwynn dies, someone like Don Zimmer dies, and you don't mention in the fucking slightest, that what kind of people they were, what Don Zimmer did for baseball, all the stuff he did, all he was managing, and he was a player, and all the historic shit he saw. And Tony Gwynn, how many batting titles did he win? How many hits did he have? You don't mention anything about that. No, it's all about Derek Jeter. And it was bullshit. They completely ruined that All-Star game and made it unbearable. I'm sorry. Derek Jeter is a great player, but it does not command the attention he has gotten. If you want to go to a city and say your respects on his last day, give him a gift, fine. But don't take Derek Jeter's name and shove it so far up my ass I'm walking with a limp. Because that's what you're doing, baseball. That's what you're doing, and it's bullshit. And it pissed me off yesterday. Every 10 seconds was Derek Jeter. So, that's all I got to say about the Derek Jeter coverage. So, I don't know if you got anything to add after that.
Well, I want to just ask you, I mean, how surprised were you by the coverage?
You know what I'm happy about, Mike? Is that he didn't win the fucking MVP because he got a hit. Mariano Rivera, love him. Love Mariano Rivera. But he won the reward by default. I'm happy. But how surprised am I? I'm not surprised. Because, like I said, I understand. People are going to give me shit for this video because of the way I just went off on the whole media coverage. And I have no problem against Jeter. He didn't ask for this. I know what kind of guy Jeter is. He's a guy who likes to keep to himself. He likes to bang chicks and give them signed baseballs afterwards. I respect that out of him. But for the whole media to blow this up, it's ridiculous. Like I said, they're just overdoing it, and they completely took out the whole, nature of the All-Star game. Best team against best team. Awesome players against awesome players. No, it's all about Derek Jeter. And for them not to mention Tony Gwynn, for them not to mention Don Zimmer, that was bullshit. It truly was. So I guess I can't say I'm too surprised. But you got anything else to add to that?
No.
I kind of figured that. I covered the bases a little bit. What did you think about him not winning the MVP? Because I thought Trout was more than deserving.
I'm going to be honest. I found out via Twitter. I saw the end of the game, and then they were going to go to commercial to then announce the MVP. And my mom's a Yankee fan. She was like, "Oh, let's see who's going to win." I was like, "Jeter's going to win it. I'm going to bed." And then I found out on Twitter that Trout won it, and I was like, "Good for Mike Trout." I mean, again, this guy, Derek Jeter, does not need to be put on any more pedestals. I mean, let's be honest, he's already on the highest one available. And you did say one thing, Derek Jeter didn't ask for this, which maybe he didn't. But I will say this, I don't like his little innocent, phrases after the game like, I wanted Adam to just, get on the mound and pitch it. Bullshit. You enjoyed every set you were getting that ovation, you liar. You would have milked it for another minute if you could have. I hate how he plays this innocent role, and no one calls him out on it. I hate it. More than anything.
Well, he's the Yankees captain. He can do whatever he wants. So what are you going to do about it?
I know.
And
I'm a hater.
Yeah, well, you hate everything. But that's besides the point. But, I thought I'm not going to diss what the players did. What Wainwright did, dropping his glove and clapping him. That's fine. That's just guys paying respect. Like when Rivera came out to the mound in the All-Star game last year, none of the players were on the field. That's fine. That's cool. I have no problem with that. But like I said, for the media coverage to sit there and you got to show that same Derek Jeter commercial a million times. We get he's retiring. We get he was a great player. We get he's a Hall of Famer. But enough is enough. Like I said, guys like Gwynn and Ripken in their last All-Star games, they didn't even get this kind of send-off. And like I said, they're better players than Jeter. Look up the stats. So I just think it was too much, and I think it overshadowed the game. And I'm glad Trout won it. And there was an article about Jason Stark. Jason Stark said about Mike Trout if he wins this All-Star MVP, it really is going to be a truly coming out party of him taking over as the face of MLB, what Jeter was for so long, because he's that young guy, 5-tool phenom. It's off to the best start in the history of baseball as a career, So I liked it a lot, So moving on from the All-Star game, we're going to talk about the second half a little bit, even though we're already past the halfway point here. But this is the official start of the second half. What are your second half teams to watch for, you think?
Well, I'm not going to really say a list of teams, but I'll give you a few divisions to keep an eye on. And number one, American League West. Based on the American League this year, you'd have to figure at this stage that 3 teams are going to the playoffs in the American League West. So that's what conventional wisdom would say. But I look at it differently because in September, these teams are all going to play each other. And the teams I'm talking about, Los Angeles and Seattle. Right now, Seattle is the second wild card. Anaheim's the first one. LA, whatever. And they're going to be playing each other. So you would figure that one of these teams is going to end up losing a lot of games and getting knocked out of the race, and that will allow for another team in another division to come on and take the second wild card in the American League. And I hate to say this, but I just have a hunch that it's going to be if Tanaka's okay, I wouldn't be surprised if New York can move because I don't think they're going to sell. So I would say maybe New York. I don't buy in Toronto. Maybe Kansas City or New York. Those are my picks. And I know New York pitching is decimated, but if Tanaka's okay, we'll see. My
teams to watch for, I honestly think the Angels have a shot to win the West. Their pitching's been a lot better this year. They would be in a lot better. I think they're 3 games. How many games out from? They're 1.5 games back of Oakland, the best team in baseball right now. Oakland, dominant bullpen, great lineup, good rotation. The Angels have had more blown saves than anyone this year in baseball. Their bullpen's absolutely an Achilles heel. For them to have the second best record in the American League and be where they're at just goes to show you their depth. And they've lost Tyler Skaggs for a little bit this year. Hector Santiago I think he's 1-7. He's been up and down. He was so bad he was in the bullpen. They had a Shoemaker in the rotation for a little bit. C.J. Wilson. So they've had some ups and downs and whatnot. But Skaggs does pitches really well on the road. Weaver's had a good year so far. C.J. Wilson for the most part has done pretty good so far. Garrett Richards has been the absolutely saving grace of that rotation. But their pitching's good. And then Pujols is having a great year. So from a home runs and RBI standpoint, sure, the average is still down, and of course Mike Trout's having an MVP type caliber season. Josh Hamilton isn't as bad as he was last year, but that's kind of hard to beat that. And Eric Ibar's having a good year and whatnot. So, and guys like Cole Calhoun and Crone, they've had big roles too on that team. So, they're definitely, I think they're a team that could surprise people and win the West and actually overtake the A's. I don't, because sitting where they're at, with the kind of bullpen they've had. It's amazing, My other teams, I think the Cardinals, the Brewers.
Yeah, the National League, I didn't even get to, but yeah, totally. The National League Central, you get 4 teams there. The National League East, you have the Braves, the Nationals. So yeah, certainly setting up to be an exciting second half for both those divisions. And then even have the National League West. Are the Giants going to finally get hot and warm up again like they did in the beginning of the year?
Yeah, they had the biggest division lead at one time in baseball over any other division. They were scorching the Dodgers so much, but the Dodgers with Kershaw and Greinke and Ryu, they got a nice 1-3 at the top, and Matt Kemp has been hitting a lot better as of late. Yasiel Puig, even though he was absolutely awful in the home run derby and All-Star game, he's had a good year this year so far, and you got guys like Han Ram and AJ Ellis. Juan Uribe isn't having too bad of a year.
Gordon was an All-Star.
Yeah, D. Gordon's having a great year. Adrian Gonzalez started out hot, but he has tapered off. He's not as good as he was at the start of the year, whatnot. But that pitching's good. They got a good back end of the bullpen. But the Giants, Buster Posey really hasn't been Buster Posey. Mike Morris went through a bit of a power drop there for a little while. They're minus Pagan. So Brandon Belt's been hurt. Too. They just got him back recently. So who knows what kind of team they're going to be. Once they get healthy and whatnot. Their pitching's been pretty good. Tim Hudson's been absolutely outstanding this year for the most part. So, but I think the Cardinals for sure they're going to be my team to watch because the Brewers have been slipping quite a bit As of late, I think they blew like a 6.5 game lead almost in the last 2 weeks. So and the Cardinals been right on their heels. And the Cardinals, their team has a lot of deep pitching. Overcome a lot of adversity. They're minus Michael Walker right now, too, in their rotation. But Adam Wainwright's doing absolutely outstanding. They got a great even in their team hasn't been that good offensively either. They've been struggling to score runs. And then you look in the NL East, between the Marlins, or not the Marlins, but the Braves and Nationals, they're battling out. But my teams to watch: Cardinals, Angels, and Mariners. I'm going to start buying into the Mariners. I'm going to start drinking their Kool-Aid. Once they get Paxton back in that rotation, Iwakuma and Hernandez, really, I don't think they command the respect they deserve. I think Greinke and Kershaw are the best one too, but it's Iwakuma and Hernandez is nothing to shake your head at. They've been absolutely outstanding. And if they could get like a bat at the deadline, to really, because what are they now? They're sitting at 51 and 44. If they could get a bat, they could seal up that first wild card spot, I think, in my mind, and actually be in the playoffs this year. Cano's done a good job, even though he hasn't hit a lot of home runs. So that's my second.
You say first wild card spot. Do you see them overtaking Oakland or LA for that matter?
No, I think say LA, here would be my scenario. I'm going to go with this right now in my second half predictions. I watch a lot of Angels games. I do. I watch them every night because Mike Trout's my boy. I'm going to be bold here and say the Angels win the division just because, like I said, how the bullpen's been, and still be where they're at. A's and Mariners come out, take both wild cards this year. And then I'm going to go with the Orioles to win the East, and then Tigers win the Central. Because the Tigers are up 6.5 games, and Kansas City can't hit to save their lives. And the Tigers beat up some of their good pitching, too. So that would be my prediction right now. They're going to have three playoff teams out of the West, and then Tigers, Orioles would be my prediction right now. That's what I'm going with for second half. I don't know what you would say, though.
Yeah, I know I touched on New York, giving them a chance. I don't know what I was thinking, 5 minutes ago. They're done. I don't know what that second wild card is going to be. I find it very hard to believe that 3 teams will come out of the division. I know it's happened before where 3 teams in one division have had a good record. I know it did, but I just have a hard time believing in that to happen again. I think it's very difficult.
Cincinnati is another team to watch out for too because they're good.
Really. And what about Chapman last night? Hobbling off the mound in the late innings, whatever it was, I think the 8th inning.
Yeah,
he better be healthy because if they lost him, that's big trouble.
I know they've lost Joey Votto a couple times already this year, and they've lost Brandon Phillips. But Billy Hamilton, man, he does so much in that lineup, and he's been an absolute stud the last 2 months. So I'm still sticking with Cincy because they started out rough and they brought it back. So to wrap this up, we're gonna go with what teams' seasons do we think is done, like teams that had playoff aspirations, but they're done.
Want me to go first, John?
Yep, go first.
Well, I just said 30 seconds ago, New York's done. We'll say Boston's done. Toronto's done. I'm not going to give up on Tampa Bay, but if they trade David Price, cooked. And that's just the American League for me. Obviously, Texas and Houston are done. And in the American League Central, I think all those teams are done. I don't see Detroit blowing that lead. And in the National League, every team but I would say the only teams alive in the National League, this will be quicker. Giants, Dodgers, 4 of the 5 teams in the Central, excluding the Cubs, and then everybody but the Braves and Nationals. So there you go. Or excuse me, the Braves and Nationals, and excluding everybody else in that division.
All right. Teams I think are done. Yankees are done. They had Tanaka, and they were still a 500 team. I'm sorry. You just lost your best pitcher, and CC Sabathia is probably not coming back this year. You're done. You're just done. Beltran's already on the DL again. He's already been on there twice. Teixeira's he's hitting the ball, but this year with some power, but it doesn't help much. Jeter, he's not having a Jeter year. You got Kelly Johnson out there. Ichiro's been playing actually a little bit more than I thought he would. Ellsbury, he's not having too bad of a year and whatnot. Alfonso Soriano was a complete flop. Dylan Betances has been a great arm in your bullpen, and so is David Robertson. But your team's done. It's over with. I'm sorry. When you were sitting at 47 and 47, and you had Masahiro Tanaka as your only pitcher in your rotation, they've had, God, how many different pitchers have they had in their rotation, too, this year? I mean, they've lost everyone in their rotation to injury now. So, they're done. Toronto, I don't know, because they could get, I think they're capable of getting hot again, so I'm still going to stick with them a little bit. I'm not going to say they're totally done. Boston, sorry, your season's over with. I remember you guys lost 10 straight, then you won like 7 straight and got over 500 for a little bit, but your season's over. Tampa season's over. Might see David Price in a new uniform here in a couple weeks. Texas, sorry, better luck next year. It sucks. They put all this money into their team in the offseason, but they're just too hurt. But you can't blame it on Ron Washington. That's just just too hurt. And obviously, Astros are done. But I think the Pirates. I don't think the Pirates are going to win a wild card spot this year. And I really thought they were going to be okay after losing Burnett and whatnot. But they lost Liriano. Garrett Cole's been on the DL a couple times this year. Their pitching hasn't been nearly as good. Even though Volquez has been pretty good as of late for them. So I think their seasons. I just don't see them catching. I think the Cardinals and Brewers are just a lot better than that team. So I think their season's done. Obviously, I'm not going to rule out the guys like the Padres and the Diamondbacks, Colorado. Obviously, they're done. But that's going to be two division race in the second half in the West, NL West, and the Central. Cardinals, Reds, and Brewers are going to be the three teams to watch. And then in the East, Marlins. They're floating 5 games under 500 right now. Or 6 games under 500, they're done. The Mets are done. The Phillies are done. And the Phillies, man, when are they finally going to have the trade deadline where they finally unload some of these older guys and stop trying to say you're going to win next year by signing a guy like A.J. Burnett or going out and get Ben Revere, Break up the band, man. Start getting some younger talent in there. Dominic Brown's not Dominic Brown last year. What has Darren Ruff amounted to so far? Cody Ashe. Carlos Ruiz isn't having nearly as good, the year he had last year or whatnot. You won a World Series in 08. You were good in 09. You're good in 2010.
And 11.
And 11, yeah. It's not that anymore. Ryan Howard, if you can get something for him, get something for him. Jimmy Rollins, he broke the hit record. Get something for him. Chase Utley's having a great year. Get something for your future. Every time you've traded for someone, it's blown up in your face or traded away someone. You haven't reloaded your farm system. You get Hunter Pence and you give away Jonathan Singleton and Jared Kozar. Look how great they're doing for the Astros. Everyone, they've just lost all their trades when they're giving away talent. Break up the band, Ruben Amaro. You're not going to win with that old nucleus anymore. And I was critical of them when they signed A.J. Burnett because there was no point. You remember?
Yes.
Because their season was done before it started. Break it up. So they're definitely done. So you got anything else to add to that, Mikey boy?
I don't think so.
All right, guys. Well, hope you enjoy this early edition of Baseball Banter. We'll be back next Friday. Probably going to get some hate on this video for sure because we ripped on Derek Jeter's little going away tour there pretty hard. So it's all good. Have a good one, guys. I'm John. That's Mike. See you later.